We have a very special Wonderkid for you guys today, and let me explain why. As normal, we've got a Wonderkid here that's got great ability, great potential, who's relatively unknown to most of you playing, but this player has something very unique about him, and that is, if you get very, very lucky, you can pick him up for a few £100,000 at the start of your save. But I'll explain more about what I mean by that a little bit later. Before we start and show the player though, don't forget to smash the like button for us and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We do weekly episodes of this Wonderkid to Superstars series for you guys, where we take a Wonderkid and we show you just how good they can look on the highest end of their potential range. But I mentioned there's something special about this Wonderkid, so let's go find him and I'll explain. Firstly, where to find a player? Well, if you've got a big enough database with the Dutch divisions loaded and you head to AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie and check in their under 18s, you'll find this star. And his name is Jasper Hartog. Now let me explain why he is a very special player. When you start your save, depending on which nation you're in Football Manager, you actually have a different start date. So here, with an English club like Chelsea that I'm managing in this particular save, the start date is the 3rd of July, but for the actual simulation we'll do with Jasper later, we are playing as Real Madrid, and their save starts somewhere in the 11th of July, I believe it is. Now that makes a big difference for this player, because I loaded up a few different saves based on a few different nations, and I found if you do load him up and have an early enough start date, i.e. like in England, the 3rd of July, and you check out Jasper Hartog, you'll be able to pick him up for a £35,000 fee to 350k. Now I went ahead and asked the agent and he confirmed that value. This isn't a false value. So if I wanted to, in this save, I could sign this player for under £200,000. Bear in mind, he has already got some decent ability, he's 17 and he has Wonderkid potential. In fact, his range is 140 to 170, but the reason he's a bit strange is if you then load up a save with, say, Real Madrid, who, like I say, have that later start date, he still has the same contract and everything like that, but his value is more along the lines of 5 or 6 million. Now, I'm going to use that version of him in a simulation today, even though they've got the same potential, but just to show you, even if you bought him for the higher amount, you're still going to get a very good player. So my first thing I'll say is if you are in a save, go ahead, scout Jasper Hartog if he is there. Hopefully you get him early enough that you can get this great valuation on him, but either way, let's see how good he can be in his career. So let's move back over to our Real Madrid save, where, like I say, even though they had the same potential, I have now moved Jasper Hartog over to Real Madrid. It's the 10th of July, so only 1 week's difference, and suddenly his value was a lot different. I used the editor to bring him over for £5 million, but that's the amount you might have to pay for him, or maybe you'll be the lucky one and get him for 200k. Either way, even at the higher value, as mentioned, I'm going to prove to you he is worth the money, but let's take a look at these starting attributes. Physically and mentally are definitely his strongest areas. I think technically he is lacking a little bit, only 12 dribbling, 12 first touch, 10 passing. Look, it's not the world's best at age 17. He's not going to start for a team like Real Madrid straight away, but if you were to sign him and to develop him, you can get some great results. Now for this simulation, we will play him right from the off. He can play either as a left winger or a right winger, and he's good with both feet, but particularly as good with that right foot. So for me, I'm thinking of using him on an inside role on the left-hand side. And I'll show you here, we've got him as an inside forward on the attack duty. Now he is being mentored by the likes of Modric, Dani Carvajal and Fede Valverde to try and give him a better personality, even though he's already a very determined player. And in terms of his training, I'm not doing anything too crazy. I'm just focusing in on the role, as we do with every player for these videos, to keep it fair. But for you guys, if I was suggesting an additional focus, if you were going to use him as an inside forward, I think you need to work on that passing or that finishing. It's completely up to you which one you want to go for, but I would definitely suggest adding that as an additional focus to really focus in on those areas. But as you can see, even just by selecting the role, we have got those attributes being trained at a fairly decent level already. So in the next few years, we should see a big upturn in his attributes. Being age 17, this is a great time for him to have some growth, and he's got the mental attributes to really back it up. For now though, I'm going to simulate a few years ahead, and we'll see him on the lowest end of that potential range. What is the worst case scenario that your 200k, or in some saves 5 million, is going to get you? And here's Jasper after a few seasons here at Real Madrid. He is now 20 years of age and under 21 Dutch international, and his current ability right now is sitting at about 132, which is nowhere near his minimum potential of 140. So even the worst case scenario, when he's fully developed, he's going to look much better than this. But this is what you can get for your very small initial investment. He's got a lot going for him physically and mentally too. He's a really well-rounded prospect for a player that is only 20 years of age still. Those mentals in particular particular are so strong for a player so young. The technicals are where he struggles the most, but his dribbling, first touch, technique and passing are now in a good place. His finishing has lacked a little bit, but that hasn't actually phased him too much in the in-game engine. I think having those good physicals and mentals have really helped him out, and in his first few years at Madrid, he has been creating chances for fun. Is he ever going to be a natural goal scorer? Probably not. Maybe inverted winger could have been better for him, but in his first year, he got 15 assists and 5 goals. The season after, 12 goals and 10 assists, and then this year, in way less games, 3 goals and 12 assists, which actually, based on the amount of games he's played, is his best season yet, according to the average match ratings, which are getting better and better every single year. Now, I do think he is a pretty unknown Wonderkid, so it's no surprise that he isn't a Mbappe or a Haaland level when he's fully developed, else we'd all know about him by now, but the fact that you can potentially pick him up for that small fee shows he's definitely worth it, and like I say, even if you pay that 5 million, he's now a 50 million quid player 3 years in, not even at the minimum end of his potential, so he's definitely worth the initial investment if you're looking for a new player to try on either wing. But now let's see him at full growth to see just how much you can get out of that small fee. But before I show you just how good Jasper gets at full growth, I'd like to let you guys know I do have my own channel linked in the description should you want to check it out. Over there it's more Football Manager content, from YouTube shorts about Wonderkids you might not have heard of to full 30-minute Football Manager rebuilds where we take over a struggling club and within 5 years try and turn them around, all in the space of one video. If that sounds interesting to you, come and check it out. I'd massively appreciate it. But now it's time for you to appreciate just how good Jasper can be. This is him at his maximum 170 current ability, where he is a phenomenal player. When you first saw him, I bet you didn't think he'd get this good. Now though, he's an £80 million player with 36 international caps for the Netherlands, 12 goals, 4-star ability rating, even though we shouldn't trust those star ratings too much. His mental attributes are some of the best I've ever seen. Physically, he's got it all in his locker, and then technically, he's really worked on himself now with 16 technique, 17 vision, 14 passing, making him a great creator. He can hit a long shot, his finishing is decent now, good dribbling, first touch. He's definitely added to that skill set over time. And now if we take a look at him at his prime, you can see he's been doing really well for us. For a couple of years, he wasn't playing too much, didn't get registered, then suddenly he started to kick on, in some seasons getting 21 assists and 9 goals. Are these numbers the levels that some players reach? Definitely not, but most of these guys you can't pick up for only a few £100,000. But let's see what he does by the end of his career. And by 2039, age 33, he is going down as a Netherlands legend. He's still valued at 60 million quid, playing his football at Al Ittihad. He moved there after another good few seasons at Real Madrid, where he was incredible in his last couple of years, and most recently in Saudi, he has absolutely torn it up. Spoiler alert, there was no Ballon d'Or for our player, nor was he ever really in the conversation, but that's kind of to be expected. I knew just by looking at him, he was never going to be one of those that would really break the in-game engine, but for his price, with how good he is, he's got to be worth a pickup, or at least a scout in your save. I never heard of him. I was really surprised when I found him so cheap, and then had this whole thing that I found out where I went to Real Madrid to start doing the video and realised he was a lot more in that save, then did all the testing. So yeah, depending on what date your save starts depends on what price you can get him for, but even if you pay the maximum, you are going to get a phenomenal player. I've been Jake for FM Scout, this has been Wonderkid to Superstar, and this has been Jasper Hartog.